Let's put you to work. There's no such thing as a free drink here at GB News. Let's have a look at Boris Johnson. So yesterday, Boris Johnson was visiting a hospital and Sky News asked him a couple of questions. Let's just see how Boris responded.
I do humbly apologise to people for misjudgments that were made, but that is the very, very best of my recollection about this event. That's what I've said to the inquiry. We'll have to see what they say.
Dominic Lawson wrote in the Sunday Times that as well you had been told by two officials it was a party and should be cancelled. You were dismissive. He writes, you said they were overreacting, said Martin Reynolds was your loyal Labrador. Is that also untrue?
Well, I've told you, and I repeat, I'm deeply sorry for misjudgments that were made.
Misjudgments?
And yes, because ultimately,
because it seems like you're trying
Beth,
to pass the blame on
no,
people.
I carry full responsibility for what took place. But nobody told me. I'm absolutely categorical about it. Nobody said to me, this is an event that is against the rules, that is in breach of what we're asking everybody else to do, should not go ahead.
So that was Boris Johnson yesterday, and just looking at that with absolutely zip expertise, but even I could see, thinking about it, he was looking down at the floor for much of the interview. He wasn't looking at the interviewer. Kept shaking his head. He's in very, very defensive mode there.
Yeah, I mean, and I have to say you're proving my point that we're all experts on body language. No, we are. I mean, all I do is I can take what you've just said and see this is where you got that from, this is where you got that impression from. In a way, I would actually call this overkill signals. I think he almost went too far. I think he thought that the mask saved him slightly, but of course it didn't. It focused on the most expressive part of the body, which is the eyes. Yeah. So, you know, there we all were looking at this man's eyes. I think possibly he felt that as the interview went on, and that's when we started to get these very emphatic, prolonged cut-off rituals, the looking down. He was very hunched as well, so he was obviously adopting his apologetic mode. But that cut-off ritual lasted, when they asked him about the Queen, about 11 seconds. He actually kept his gaze down. And when he did come up, it was that, you know, this kind of naughty schoolboy with the headmaster thing that he's doing. I didn't know that it was, you know, a party. Yeah. Nobody told me. So we're getting an evasive mode there. We're getting maybe overkill with the I'm so sorry signals. And I think...
And quite hard to believe.
Well, it's not only hard to believe, Nigel, it's also the fact that he's still the man that's running the country. You know, I mean, if you look at all the things that we need him to do...
Well, I know.
You know...
And yet, Judi, he comes back today, 24 hours later,
Absolutely.
in the House of
Absolutely.
Commons. Let's listen to Boris Johnson. Let's see him in the House of Commons earlier on today.
Listen to the Labour front bench in the run-up to Christmas and New Year, Mr. Speaker. We would have stayed in restrictions with huge damage to the economy, and it's because of the judgments that I've taken and that we have taken in Downing Street that we now have the fastest growing economy.
Incredibly confident, and he's leaning against the dispatch box, and the arms are. I mean, later on, David Davis did poleaxe him, but at this stage, so what's happened here, Judi? Have people said to him, you were too apologetic yesterday, or has he decided himself he was too apologetic? And really my question to you, which is the real Boris Johnson?
Oh, well, that is the $1 million question. And I love the way you pull an innocent face when you ask it, so I'm going to go, well, it's that one there. Boris clearly trades on this shared joke thing that works really well. As I say, that smirky smile, when we're watching him, because he didn't look, and goodness knows why, because he's been steeped in politics almost since he was born, but he still looks like the outsider to a certain extent, not as much as Trump, but maybe the maverick. And so when he's surrounded by all the sort of usual going toings and froing, that smirky smile, it makes us feel, yeah, Boris, you know, we are laughing at it as well with you, but it's when we are with that smile. To bring it today, I think may have lost the audience a little bit. To come back so differently from how he was yesterday. I don't think yesterday was the real Boris. I hope it wasn't, because we had a red, almost teary eye. It wasn't somebody you'd want to be in charge of a country. I think he felt that it was appropriate to get the Boris bounce back again today. And as you say, his body language was very ebullient. He was cracking jokes. He was leaning heavily on the dispatch box, but in quite an arrogant way. I'm not even sure David Davis finished him off. He got to the thing that he always does, which is when Starmer's asked the last question, and by the way, I don't think Starmer's body language is remotely up to pummelling Boris, I have to say, particularly not for this scenario. But yeah, when he gets to the last question and Starmer's finished, he really does his rebel rousing, shouting. We got the stabbing finger, we got the clunking fist, and that's how he wanted to finish. Then Brutus got him in the back. But why did David Davis? He did a dying fool when he got to that big quote.
He could have finished more strongly.
I would have,
know.
But he needed. It was a Brian Blessed moment, wasn't it?
Yes.
And I know I've got. It should have been ratchet. But I think that dying fool made it feel as though his own mind said, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. It lacked congruence.
Well, I have to say, Judi James, a completely different interpretation of what happened on PMQs today from a different way of looking at things. Fascinating.